Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you do not know who I am, I go by Strange, and today we will be making a sketchbook cover. Some of the inspiration that I had for this sketchbook cover was just combining a lot of things that I like and enjoy, and just really having fun making this expressive, cartoonish type of cover. Shows that I'm inspired by are shows like Amazing Digital Circus, we have Gravity Falls, My Hero Academia, and of course, Steven Universe. Following along, I kind of wanted to have like this explosion. I did contemplate making a full illustration, but I wanted to keep the sketchbook cover kind of simplified and cartoonish. So I'm kind of finishing off my sketch. I wasn't really happy with the way that Uraka was looking in this illustration. She wasn't really giving the same style. I didn't think she was really cutting it in cuteness factor. And we already know that like Uraka is very cutesy. So I felt like I wasn't doing her justice here. Then we have my kneaded eraser, which of course I had to play with for like 10 minutes before I used, because I have no sense of focus when it comes to using it. But basically what I do is I kind of roll it into sort of a roller shape, I guess. I like this trick to be called the lowering the opacity, but in real life. So I lower the opacity on my sketch enough so that I can still see it, but I can color it all the same. So here we have my Gravy acrylic markers. These are kind of my favorites to be using at the moment. There's a lot of colors, you could do a lot of layering. It's basically like painting, but you just don't have to do the hassle of, getting water, paint brushes, all the different colors. If you mix the colors, it's not too drastic either, but these are obviously not as thick as like acrylic or oil paints, but I feel like they get the job done. They're very good at coloring, they're easy to use, basically marker form, and yeah. So before I do the colors for the bigger illustration sketch, I go in and I make a little thumbnail. Again, I don't really typically do too much of this step when I'm like not making a huge illustration. But again, I want to make sure that the colors all look nice together. If I have to change it, it's easier to do so on the smaller thumbnail. Originally, my first idea was to make my sketchbook cover like just of random characters from random shows that I like, and that is kind of what I ended up going with, but I kind of made the mistake of just putting random characters and then deciding halfway through that I actually wanted to do my favorite characters. So Jax is not my favorite character. Everybody else that I draw is what I would consider my favorite characters of the show. We have Dipper from Gravity Falls, we have Hairdot from Steven Universe, and we have Uraka from My Hero Academia. But Jax, I'm sorry, buddy, you're not my favorite. Kinger is, and if any of you guys are Kinger fans out there, you know that like he's supreme. He's the number one in the show. Another thing is that these colors are very bright. I have seen some creators be able to get like very duller colors. They kind of can work with it. However, I'm kind of newish to making these work, so all my colors kind of turn out right no matter how I try to use them, no matter how much I layer them. So this illustration definitely is on the brighter side, but I kind of like it, to be honest. Typically, I try to stick with browns, like earthy colors, greens, maybe dark bluish. But I had a lot of fun just kind of going willy-nilly with these colors, if you may. Another thing that I like to do with these acrylic markers is also kind of go in and do the line art in a brighter color first, so that I don't accidentally, destroy the lines beneath, because, I've already lowered the opacity of the pencil. I don't want to accidentally paint over the, line art and then don't have any sort of direction. So for Jax's color here, I had to lighten it up a bit because he was looking quite dark. I know that his color is kind of weird when you look at it. It's sort of like this purplish, but it's also a little desaturated. So I was trying my best to get the colors. Of course, I wasn't trying to go too in depth with this coloring process because I was going to color the exact same illustration in the front of my sketchbook. So here I'm taking the cover of my sketchbook and sanding it down so that when I put the paint, it doesn't slide off. I wasn't too worried. The paint, obviously will be kind of soaked in by the sketchbook cover, but I just wanted to be safe, and then I made the mistake of trying to rub all the residue off with my hands. Don't do that, guys. Use a napkin, use a brush. Luckily, it wasn't too hard to wash off, but still made a little bit of a mess. So here I'm using a black paper kind of to avoid getting paint, one on my desk and two on the other pages of my sketchbook. After all the white paint was finished drying, I used about 5 coats or 6 coats. It was quite a bit, but it didn't have a lot of drying time in between because it's acrylic. So with that done, I went ahead and started sketching in what I had previously drawn. On this sketch, I tried to make sure that everything was more proportionate as well, because my little doodle sketch thing wasn't sort of cutting it. I wanted to make sure that these characters still looked like themselves. I am also realizing now that I did draw in Jax's eyebrows, but unfortunately I must have forgotten to sort of draw them back in once I was doing the acrylic step, which is why it's so important to do the line art and not go right in, but I don't think I was really thinking. At this point, I was very much in the zone. I was making these spikes. I was trying to make sure that everything fit. This kind of sketchbook cover ended up being more narrow than I anticipated, but I still try to make it work. Here, I am still being challenged by Uraraka's proportions. Maybe it's because, I'm not used to seeing her in more of a Western cartoonish style. I wouldn't say my style is really 100% Western cartoon, but I do have a lot of inspo pulled up from those types of shows because I really wanted this to look very cartoony. I didn't want to focus too much on realism. As you might see in my next few videos, I don't have a realistic approach either. If I had to describe my style, I would say that it's kind of a little basic. I'm not gonna lie, but is kind of inspired by a lot of anime and a lot of Western cartoons. It's kind of a blend between the two. I take whatever I like and kind of just apply it to my art. I am struggling beyond all measures, and at some point, I just decide, you know what? I think I know what's messing up this entire thing. And as you will see, I just end up erasing her mouth and closing her eyes and calling it a day.
Let it go, let it go, let me be the one. Should I know that you want me now?
I will say that I do like myself a good artist challenge, but if I kind of take too long to do something, I am more tended to kind of walk away or switch things up and try not to get stuck doing something because the longer I stay stuck on something, the more frustrated I'll get, and then I just won't end up doing it. Finally, I go in with my acrylic markers again and I kind of just start filling out the background. Um, I have not done a lot of digital art in my past, but I have done some. So a lot of my thinking kind of works in layers. Um, I have always been a traditional artist. I always done paper, pen, pencil type of art, and of course coloring. But once I started doing digital art, I did kind of gain this 3D insight about art where I was just like, yeah, like things like painting or things that include layers kind of make you look at art differently and sort of problem solve differently when it comes to creating it.
Show me tonight, show me tonight, can you show me tonight?
So I always try to start off with my backgrounds first if I know they're going to be touching the characters in any way. Um, Pause. But if they're going to be making contact with the characters, I do like to kind of do that background element first so that I don't have to do it later on and risk the potential of, especially with acrylic markers, going over the characters and then I have to go over again to clean up the edges. It's just much easier to mess up the background than it is to mess up your characters. I would like to talk more about what I plan for this YouTube channel here because it's I want to make sure that whoever views this video is on the same page as me, and I also want to say it more for myself to make sure that I'm on the same page with myself. So this YouTube channel is very like self-indulgent. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that I like. I'm going to be talking about art because art is a very big passion of mine. I'm going to be talking about shows, especially animated shows, because I grew up on them and they hold a very close part of my heart. Recently, a lot of what I've been watching is Gravity Falls. I've been like rewatching it, and let me just say, I love it. I've been enjoying it, and it's really just a blast from the past. I really just enjoy indulging. Of course, I try not to stay too stuck on past stuff because I understand that there is always a need for improvement and there's always a need for something new in our lives. But once in a while, I like to just go back and enjoy what I had and appreciate what I had when I had it. These types of videos make me a little sad for the past, especially since these are moments in our lives we will never have back. But I really appreciate what I've been able to have because not everyone can have them, have moments of inspiration or passion. But I've always been scared to show this passion because I don't want people to think that I'm childish. But I've come to the realization that I rather be childish than be unpassionate. And I do also understand, obviously, there's plenty of adults who like these types of shows, but being surrounded by my peers who are growing up and sort of going into more mature jobs, more mature lives, they're not really focused on things like cartoons and TV shows, but I will always have a place in my heart for them. Like I've been saying, Gravity Falls has been such a cool show to rewatch, and I've rewatched it so many times, so it's definitely not the first time, but I love watching it. So if you haven't watched Gravity Falls, please watch it. I would recommend all of these shows, but they do all have kind of a different audience, um, unless like we're under the umbrella term of just people who like animation in general. If I had to pick one character that was easiest to color, it would definitely be Peridot because of her unnatural colors, but they're kind of perfect for these acrylic markers because they're so bright anyways that it just works out way better. And she looks, I would say, the most close to her color palette in the show. Luckily, I've finished her line art. I didn't do too much in between. I just continued coloring and then did different colors for her line art. So we got a little bit of pink, a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, just all sorts. I would say that if I had to pick out of all of them, like which one I had the most fun coloring, it would definitely be Peridot. I'm sorry, guys. It's gotta be Peridot. Steven Universe was such a great show growing up, and it taught me a lot about, acceptance and just being different. And once I grew older and I watched Future, as controversial as it sounds, I enjoyed it. If I were to summarize what I want this channel to be, I just want it to be whatever I want it to be. So basically, it's just what I want to post, what I want to do, and it's sort of going back to like an older form of YouTube where people just like posted and didn't care about the algorithm and whether or not their video would perform well. I remember when I used to do YouTube back when I was a wee lad, back when I was much younger. I was about like 14, 15. I was really encouraged to make sure that my videos were performing well by always going to like YouTube Studio and just checking like the little arrows up and downs, whether I got or not I got comments or likes. And it kind of was a little draining because obviously I was like not a creator at all. Like my videos were not on top. Um and I don't know, it was a little disheartening, but I kind of lost fact of the fact that I did it for fun. I mean, if I reap the benefits of, having a large channel at some point in my career, I would be forever grateful. Like that is obviously such a goal of mine. Like since I was a kid, I wanted to be a YouTuber or like an influencer. I just wanted to create stuff and have people see my like work, whether that was like online or like in an animation studio, or I wanted to do a lot of concept design in the past. But seeing as that's not what I'm currently doing, what I'm currently going to school for, it is more like on the backside of like the journey of life right now. I'm not outwardly looking for a career in the arts right now, though it would be so like welcomed. So here I'm kind of finishing up this like little sketchbook cover. I really wanted it to look like a cover. I don't know if I kind of succeeded doing that, but I wanted to add in more color, so I just went in with this blue, um, because I thought I've always been like my favorite contrast colors, which makes me sound like such an art nerd, having a favorite like complementary colors or whatever, like they're orange and blue. Those are my favorites, and those are my favorite colors in general, orange and blue, because I really like the way that they look together. I don't know. I think it looks cool. So that's what I did, and that's basically what this channel is. And I want to thank everybody if you've made it to this point in the video and you really like watched everything, even if you didn't, you know. I want to thank you for just watching and sticking around, and I hope you like the final product. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. It's completely free, you know? It'd be pretty cool. Give the video a like if you liked it. I know a lot of people tend to forget to like videos, which is literally me. So if you forget to like videos, like this video. That will be it for me. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I'll see you next time. Bye!